What's up, guys? We're back today with another video over Knights of the Old Republic 2, and today we're going to talk about Atton Rand. Today's video is going to be about Atton. We're going to talk about his backstory, we're going to talk about some build ideas, and we're going to have a complete influence guide on how to gain influence with Atton should you choose to do that. Now, once again, there are going to be backstory spoilers for Atton, so if you're not interested in seeing spoilers, if you've never played the game before, make sure to check out the timestamps I put in the description below. If you find this video helpful, please drop a like. It does make me feel good to know that I'm providing you guys some value, and it also, helps with the YouTube algorithm, helps other people find the video, so you're really helping other people out if you drop a like as well. Also, if you want to see more content like this or get notifications, please hit that subscribe button and also hit the notification bell. I do stream here on YouTube every Tuesday and Thursday at 6:30 p.m. Central Time, and on Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday at 4:30 p.m. Central Time for Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes Grand Arena Champions. All right, let's quit beating around the bush and let's go ahead and get started with the video. First, for a little bit of backstory on our boy Atton, you meet him on Paragus. He's jailed up. It's not looking super great for him. That's a great way to start a relationship, right? To break someone out of prison. That's how all great relationships are started. As you play with Atton, you'll get to know a little bit more about him. And once you go to Nar Shaddaa, once you get to the refugee sector, if you have Atton with you, there are going to be a couple of Twi'leks that come up behind you and be like, hey, is that the guy? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the guy. You go talk to them, you pay them, I think it's like 10 credits. It's a silly amount. Don't worry about it. And they will tell you, hey, you might talk to that guy. He's not who you think he is. So that gives you the opportunity to talk to Atton and start to learn about his backstory. Once you talk to Atton, you will learn that he fought in the Mandalorian Wars on the side of the Republic and actually turned sides and fought for the Sith during the Jedi Civil War. And actually he was trained and he was really good at capturing Jedi, bringing them back to the Sith so they could be broken or just outright killed. He was very good at this by being able to block other Jedi from reading his thoughts, and he got very skilled at trapping and killing Jedi. Going so as far as to say it is easy to kill Jedi. It's actually really easy, so he claims. You will soon come to find out that Atton captured a woman Jedi, and she tells him, in fact, that he, too, can feel the Force, that he is a Force-sensitive person, and that honestly scares him a little bit, because then she lets him know that, really, if the Sith were to find out that he is Force-sensitive, he would be put through the same breaking techniques that they use on the Jedi, and he would be forced to become a user of the dark side of the Force, or, like the other Jedi, killed. And how does the story end? Well, as all great love stories go, he falls in love with the woman and then, he kind of kills her. It's really the perfect love story, right? And it is from this backstory that you have now learned that you can train Atton into becoming a Jedi, which is why influence is actually really important with him. So we're going to talk about that in a later part of the video. All right, so that's a very high level overview of his backstory. If you wanted to learn more, go ahead and talk to him and learn all of it for yourself. Go through all of the dialogue yourself. But that's just kind of a high level overview of your boy Atton, what he's about, what he's done in the past. All right, so now that we've talked about the backstory on it, let's talk about some build ideas. Now, once again, if you've seen my other build videos, these are build ideas. These are not set in stone. These are not, I'm saying that I am the correct way to do this, because I'm certainly not a min-maxer, but these are ways, if you build them this way, you will find a moderate amount of success, I do believe. Spoiler alert, if you don't want anything spoiled about Atton, like if you skipped the backstory section, go ahead and skip 15 seconds ahead in this video. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can train Atton to become a Jedi, and he will be a Jedi Sentinel. So if you've seen that video over Jedi Sentinel build, then this might be repetitive. Okay, I think hopefully that was 15 seconds. If not, I'll put a number like right here, saying like how long you should skip forward. All right, so when you meet your boy Atton, he is going to be a scoundrel, and this is going to be very similar to the scoundrel build guide that I've already done. So if you've already watched that video, you are going to see a little repetition in this. First off, personally, I choose 2-weapon fighting with scoundrels just because that's 2 times the sneak attack that you can do, which is more damage. So personally, I am investing into 2-weapon fighting with our boy Atton. If you want to go a different route, it's totally fine, but I personally value 2-weapon fighting on Atton. Next up, I would focus on blaster pistols. You can put some points into the attack modifier, so weapon focus. I don't know that you necessarily need it, but the +1 to attack is nice, especially at the beginning of the game, so I'll leave that in your court. You can have it or not, it's up to you. Now, if you plan on for the rest of the game keeping Atton using like blaster pistols, blaster rifles, something like that, you would consider going towards the close combat route. That's not a bad line to go. Ideally, you're not getting him into those situations, but if you find that that's happening, I wouldn't be afraid to tack on close combat just so he's not getting any penalties. If you plan on switching him over to melee weapons, finesse melee weapons would be a phenomenal route to go if that's something that you're wanting to do as well, because he can do a very good job with melee weapons. Just know that he is a scoundrel, so he will be kind of squishy if you decide to go the finesse melee route. The line of precise shot feats are also very good for Atton with 2 blaster pistols, but there are a lot of them, and feats are at a premium. So if you have extra feats and you don't need anything else, precise shot is very nice, but just remember there are a lot of them. So kind of take that with a grain of salt. Just think about if you can use those or not. I would say toughness is going to be a must for Atton, just because, like I said, he is a scoundrel, so he's not going to have a whole lot of vitality points. So toughness, I'm going to say, is going to be a definite must. Now, I will say personally, when I build Atton, just because your feats are going to be at a premium, especially because he's a scoundrel, I don't put a lot into the attack feats. So power attack, flurry, critical strike, rapid shot, all of those. I don't really do a whole lot with those. By the end of the game, he usually has one at least at improved or maybe maxed out, but I don't put a lot into that. If you do, I would just pick one. Scoundrels typically go with, a critical strike, a sniper shot, something like that. So depending on whether you're going melee or ranged, but I wouldn't say you necessarily need to do that. Again, flurry and rapid shot work very well with scoundrels because you get multiple attack, which is multiple sneak attacks, which is super great. So I personally probably go flurry or rapid shot, but you can't go wrong with any of them. Just pick one. It's honestly, to the min-maxers, it matters because it changes how much that damage number is you're going to get, but you're going to be fine no matter which one you get. Let's be completely honest. Conditioning, it's a fine one to get. I don't know that you need it. The saving throws are nice, but once again, your feats are at a premium, so just kind of think about it, where you're at in the game. Are you getting stunned a lot? Are you suffering a lot of negative effects? Then maybe throw a point into it, but I don't know necessarily that you need conditioning. Let's talk about attributes. So for attributes, our boy Atton, dexterity is where I'm going to throw most of my points. I'd put him into dexterity. I wouldn't worry about strength. He's not a strength-based user. Even if you plan on using him with melee combat, dexterity is going to be perfectly fine. I would just do finesse melee weapons, but you're going to be totally fine with just a dexterity-based scoundrel. For Constitution, 14 is probably going to be fine. That's going to allow him to use the retinal combat implant. I probably wouldn't put a whole lot more into that, but that's kind of up to you. And for our scoundrel-based Atton, that's probably what I would do, is just mostly dexterity. You could put some points into intelligence if you want him to be using skills. I mean, you've got droids, you've got KOTOR for that. You could also put some into wisdom and charisma. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But honestly, for scoundrel Atton, I would go dexterity, maybe a little bit of constitution, but that's really about it. You're probably going to be fine with our boy Atton with those attributes. All right, spoilers incoming. So skip to the next session. That's in the timestamp. If you don't want spoilers, you have 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so like we said, Atton can become a Jedi. So now we're going to talk about Jedi Sentinel Atton and some build ideas for him. So while we just finished talking about attributes, let's go back and revisit attributes one more time. So once again, my idea still hasn't changed. I would still stick with dexterity. Even if you're going to have him using lightsabers, he's still going to deal plenty of damage. You can amp up his lightsabers with the right attachments, with crystals. You're going to be okay with dexterity-based Atton. It's going to work out just fine. Trust me on this. I always use dexterity-based Atton, and he can deal quite a bit of damage. I still don't think you need to go any more into Constitution, even though now he's going to definitely be on the front lines, taking melee damage. I still wouldn't throw any more into Constitution. I think he's going to be okay with 14. Now, Wisdom and Charisma is interesting, and I would consider putting a little bit more into Wisdom personally, just because, especially depending on at what level you decide to turn him into a Jedi, his force point pool is going to be pretty low. So it's not necessarily a bad idea. I personally would throw it into Wisdom and not so much into Charisma. Charisma would affect the potency still, but it would not affect his force point pool. So I would go more on the Wisdom side. Now for feats with our Jedi Sentinel Atton, I'm still sticking to 2-weapon fighting, toughness, those things still apply. I'm going to say probably if you know you're going to make him a Jedi, maybe don't go into weapon focus, like for sure on your blaster pistol. I don't think that's necessary. I also wouldn't go into rapid shot. I would stick with either flurry or critical strike. You're definitely going to want finesse melee weapons. So that's going to be an important one. Don't do finesse lightsabers because, as I've said before, finesse lightsabers does the same thing as finesse melee weapons, except it doesn't apply to melee weapons. So just do finesse melee weapons. Jedi defense is a nice one because it's going to increase his ability to deflect blaster bolts. So up to you. I usually end up picking at least 1 or 2 levels of it. I do enjoy it, but up to you if you want to pick it or not. After that, I've actually gotten to where I pick regenerate force points. I found that to be kind of nice with that, and especially because, again, depending at what level you get him to be a Jedi, he might have a pretty weak force point pool, so getting those force points back as quick as possible is pretty nice. After that, I mean, it's really up to you. Again, there's no correct way to do this. No matter how you build him, he's probably going to do fine for you, but these are just some ideas on how you might go about building him. All right, so let's talk about force powers now. So force powers, you kind of have a lot of different ways you can use Atton because he's a Sentinel. He is pretty well rounded. The one thing that's super nice to mention about our boy Atton is he does have the ability to just pick himself right back up. Whenever he goes down, he does get the ability to just come right back to life, which is super nice. And there's a specific force power that I want to pair with Atton because he has that ability, and that's going to be Revitalize. Now, I know I've already mentioned that he's going to have a very low force point pool, and Revitalize costs a lot of force points. However, the idea that he can just bring himself back up, maybe you're in a really tough spot, you've only got 1 character left. If Atton does happen to bring himself back to life, just, magically, then he could use Revitalize to bring someone else back to life too. So Revitalize is actually, I think, a super smart power to pick for our boy Atton. Combine that with like heal, which you might want to put some charisma with heal if you get heal, but then he can not only bring your people back, but bring them back to Elba and really kind of revitalize your entire party. So he's a nice target to go ahead and get revitalized. After that, I mean, honestly, it's dealer's choice. I would for sure get either Insanity or Stasis Field, just because then he can kind of create his own opportunities to use sneak attack. As we said, he is a scoundrel. He will get sneak attack. So anytime someone is immobilized by stun, by insanity, something like that, he will get sneak attack damage dealt. So I would have at least one of those two. He doesn't have to. He could rely on someone else to use them, especially if his wisdom and charisma are really low and it's people are going to save. But I would say it's definitely a good idea to have one of those. After that, also Force Speed, also another good one to have, just because he's going to be dealing more attacks per turn, which means more sneak attack damage. It's really hard to go wrong with anyone for Force Speed. After that, I mean, it's kind of up to you. You don't necessarily need Force Valor, Energy Resistance, because those affect your entire party. So just give those to someone else, especially because he already has pretty low force points because he doesn't start as a Jedi. So I would probably wean away from those, but they're still good powers. Force Resistance, Force Immunity, great powers to have. You know, it makes it a lot stronger against Jedi. Other than that, it's kind of up to you. Do you want him to be more focused on combat? In which case I'd go light side powers like Force Armor, Battle Meditation, stuff like that. If you're wanting to be more focused on force powers and being dark side, Force Storm is always a great one. You know, Kill, Plague, all of those great ideas as well. So really, it's kind of dealer's choice depending on how you want to use him. He is a Sentinel. He does have a lot of viability. So it just kind of depends on how you want to use him. But really, you can't go wrong with what force powers you pick. He's going to be pretty great no matter what. As far as skills go, just give him whatever you want. Just computer, I don't know. Just give him whatever you want. You've got droids and stuff. Just give him whatever you need or whatever you think's fun for his character. Just do some role playing with that. Do your own thing. All right, so now that we've finished all that, let's go ahead and get started on talking about influence and how to gain influence with Atton. Now, one of the good things to mention is that Atton is actually really easy to gain influence with. So that's super cool, and it shouldn't be very hard for you to do that. Now, there may be some instances where you're going to have to gain some dark side points. If you don't want to do that, there are definitely plenty of light side options, but dark side is a very easy way to gain influence points with Atton. Now, as I will mention in all of my influence guides, characters can steal influence from each other, especially Kreia. Kreia will steal, she is just the influence queen. She will steal influence from like everyone else. She has the highest priority. She does also have a lot of things locked behind influence, so it does kind of make sense. But if you're ever going to gain influence with Atton, there are some exceptions, but just try to make sure he's the only one in your party. That will guarantee that he is the one that gains the influence. All right, I'll try to go through these pretty quickly. The first one, really easy way, kill innocent people. I don't know why. Atton really likes it when you kill innocent people. He's probably a psychopath. Basically, anytime you have the opportunity to kill someone that's like a civilian, he's going to like it. I'm going to list out a few in this video, but I mean, if in doubt, just kill someone innocent. He's probably going to like it. Like I said, that's a little messed up. Other than that, I'm going to try to go in chronological order. So we'll see if I can do this. Also, I am going to mention that this potentially might not be every single way you can gain influence with him. I might leave one out. So if I do, please, in the comments down below, let everyone else know where you gained influence with Atton. Also, it's worth noting, don't be a dick to Atton. If you're a dick to Atton, you're going to lose influence. We're not going to talk about the ways that you could potentially lose influence with him. Just in general, read the conversations. Don't be a dick, bro. All right, first up, whenever you're on the Harbinger, whenever you're talking to our boy Atton, just go ahead and say, hey, Atton's idea was a good one. Let's go ahead and get the navigation charts from the Harbinger's main computer. Whenever you do that, Atton's gonna love it. Next up, later up on the Harbinger, he's going to say, I have a bad feeling about this. And it tells you, you know, that he has a really good way to sense if bad things are going to happen. It tells you might want to save your game, which, fun fact, I'm pretty sure that I've checked this out, and that he only does that once in the entire game, which is kind of weird that they have a tooltip for that. Regardless, if you say, okay, I understand, but we still need to keep moving, but we'll just be careful, you will also gain influence with Atton. Once you get off Baragas and get to Citadel Station, this is where you can go ham and get lots of influence with Atton, because let me tell you something, there are a lot of innocent people you can kill. I think the one exception to this is that killing the guy that stands outside of the exchange building, or room, I guess, he does not gain you influence with Atton. Killing anyone else that gives you dark side points does, but that one guy, if I'm remembering correctly, does not give you influence with Atton. So just to name a few people that you can kill to gain influence with Atton, the guy that gives you the droid credentials over in the residential section, kill him, he'll give you some. If you go into the room and try to steal the stuff, the guy comes in and says, hey, what the heck are you doing? You say, oh, I'm stealing your stuff. He's like, well, I'm gonna stop you. And you said, oh, I'll just take your life. So you kill him. Atton likes that too. Another one, right outside of the cantina, when you find those two thugs that are harassing the Celestian, if you take the opportunity to save him, then you're like, I just wanted to have all the fun for myself. And then you kill the Celestian. Guess what? Atton really likes that too. He's kind of messed up. Did I mention that? All right, so next up, after you finish on Citadel Station, you go down to the planet side of Telos, and then you go to the polar region. Whenever you're in the polar region, before you go and take Atton and save him out of his cell. Go talk to a handmaiden sister and just ask them about your companions, and she will reveal that Atton has Echani training. You can then go up and talk to Atton about it. When you talk to Atton about his Echani training, what's really important is that you do not use the persuade option. Just ask him about his Echani training, quit the conversation. Go back and talk to him again and just say, hey, I just think it's super cool and super valuable to the team. He's gonna like, thanks, bro, I appreciate you. And you gain influence with him. Now, this one can really happen anywhere in the game, so this one's kind of out of place, I guess. But you can talk to Kreia at some point, and she will teach you how to read the thoughts of other people on the Ebon Hawk, and you will listen, and you will get to listen to everyone's thoughts, and you can hear Atton. If you go up to Atton and you talk to him about it and say, hey, man, I'll listen to your thoughts. Super sorry about it, bro. He's gonna say, hey, you know what? It's what Jedi do. It's okay. I appreciate you. And you'll gain some influence with him their way too. When you first get to Dantooine, when you get off the Ebon Hawk and look directly to your right, there's gonna be a guy there named Tarn. If you go and talk to him and ask him, hey, why you look so busy? If you pass an awareness check and a persuade check, which is going to require 10 awareness and 12 persuade, if you pass both of those checks, then Atton will comment and say, hey, nice. He's going to admire how persuasive you are, and you will gain influence with him. Next up on Dantooine, if you go to the left of Kunda, kind of over by like a tree and an airspeeder, there's a boy named Sadhi or Sadhi. I don't actually know how you pronounce his name, but I guess that doesn't really matter. So he's chilling out under a tree, and if you talk to him, he's going to tell you about these atmospheric sensors that he's missing. Now, for this one, if you want to get the influence, you are going to need Bao-Dur with you, and you will need either 5 awareness or 16 repair. After you talk to Sadhi, or whatever his name is, guy under a tree, go into the crystal caves. Right around a pillar, right when you first enter, there's going to be some rubble. Search it, and you're going to find the atmospheric sensors. If Bao-Dur is with you, he's going to say, hold up, I don't know about that. And then you can either, if you have 5 awareness, ask Bao-Dur to open the sensors, or if you have 16 repair, you can open them up yourself. You will discover they are listening devices. You can then go back to Sadhi, which, by the way, I would remove Bao-Dur from your party at this point. Just have Atton with you. You know, we talked about the whole influence stealing thing, just to be safe. Take Atton with you, go back to dude under a tree, go talk to him, mention that they're listening devices, and then say, nah, you know what, you need the credits more than I do. And then Atton will gain influence with you. Still on Dantooine, whenever you're preparing the defenses of Kunda, whenever you're inside the administration building, if you go to the left hallway and go to the back where there's the workbench, you'll find all of these droids. Whenever you start repairing droids, on the second droid that you repair, you don't have to repair them all the way. Just spend the 1 part, or I guess how many depending on your repair skill. Spend the 1 part to actually repair it. On the second one, you will find a Carrie's hydro spanner. If you take it and go back and talk to a Carrie, then you can ask him, you can investigate and ask him, you know, why is this hydro spanner here? I think you did some bad stuff. And if you talk to him, you say, you know what, I'm not going to turn you in. It's okay. Atton will gain influence with you, or you will gain influence with Atton. I've probably been saying that backwards this entire video. It doesn't matter. Influence plus with Atton. That's all that matters. Also important to mention, this is one where a lot of people can gain influence. So again, make sure you only have Atton with you. Now, one thing I want to mention about everything that's happening on Nar Shaddaa, and this is very important, and I don't know if this was just a personal bug with me or if it happens for other people, but I want to make sure that you guys know, just because this happened to me a lot. You want to do all of these things where you're gaining influence with Atton either before or after the Red Eclipse event happens, where the Red Eclipse invade your ship. If you do it during that, whenever, you know, they're there in that area and they're on your ship, but you haven't cleared them out yet, for some reason, at least for me, it never gained influence with the people that were in my party. So like, for example, if I started out with just Atton and maybe I added a second crew member, because it still allowed me to add people to my party, I just couldn't take away the people that were originally there, i.e. Atton. The people that I added to my crew could still get influence, but Atton, because he was initial part of my crew, I couldn't gain influence with him anymore. So just as a precaution, I would make sure that if you're going to do any of these things to try to gain influence with Atton on Nar Shaddaa, do it either before the cutscene for the Red Eclipse event or after you've cleared out the Red Eclipse from your ship. Just a forewarning. All right, now we've ventured to the planet of Nar Shaddaa. If you go to the big central pit area, you'll find 2 exchange thugs harassing this guy. If you go and talk to them, you can basically, no matter how you handle this, Atton's gonna like it. My personal favorite, just because it's a lot of fun, is to use Force Persuade to make them jump off into the central pit. If you force him to jump off into the central pit and then talk to the guy, he'll run away. Atton's gonna be like, man, glad we got the drop on those guys. That was cool. And you'll gain influence with him. Down in the refugee sector, you're going to find a guy named Gariel, and he's going to be sick. If you have 6 treat injury, you can go ahead and heal him. If you heal him and you have Atton with you, boom, influence gained. All right, so for the next one, there's actually 2 ways you can do this, one dark side and one light side, and one's actually a lot easier than the other. So this is involving Lutra over in the flop house on the docks. If you go and talk to Lutra, Lutra is an innocent person you can kill, so the dark side path is just walk in, kill him. Atton will love it because he's a sociopath. The alternate route, which does take quite a bit more work, is if you go talk to Lutra, find out that he's looking for his wife Aida, go down to the refugee sector, help her clear the way, get her up there, and then save the day, get them reunited. Then you must have Kreia with you. So you have to have Kreia and Atton with you. As soon as you reunite them, Kreia is going to say, well, you weakened them. He should have found her on his own. And then basically you just go through it and say, I would never have done that for any of my allies. I would have always tried to help my allies. Then Atton's going to say like, hey, man, thanks. And he's going to gain some influence. Now, while we're over in the Flophouse, there are 2 more sets of innocent people that you can kill that will also give you influence with Atton. One of them is the Lunar Shadow crew, and the other one is the Ithorian La Savu. If you kill either of them or both of them, you will gain influence with Atton both times. Now, the last one we have is a little bit longer and a little bit more involved, and it involves repairing the airspeeder on Nar Shaddaa in the refugee sector. The first thing you're going to need to do is find all of the parts to repair it. We'll go over very quickly where all of the parts are located. The first part is located right after you get off the Ebon Hawk. If you go to the right, the guy that has the little droid repair shop, right next to the workbench, there's going to be a plasteel cylinder, and there will be your first part. For your second and third parts, you're going to want to go over to the Nar Shaddaa docks. The power cell is going to be in the Flophouse carried by the Ithorian. You can either do his quest, or, easier, kill him, gain dark side points, and also gain influence with Atton for that as well. The third part is on the third pylon section over at the far side of the docks. If you go in there and take an immediate left, there's going to be a box or a cylinder or something like that, whatever it's called, and you're going to find the last part in there. Now, go down into the refugee sector and go over to the Serico territory. You're going to find a broken down airspeeder. Start to replace the parts. Whenever you get to the one that has a security check, Atton will say, hey, I can take care of that. If you comment and say, yeah, I'll leave it to the expert, he'll say, expert, I like the sound of that. And then you'll gain influence with him whenever you attempt to start it up. Well, guys, that's going to do it today for our video. Hopefully you found this helpful, and hopefully you learned a little bit more about Atton, learned about his build, and learned how to gain some influence with him. If you did, please drop a like. Again, it does make me feel good to know that I've helped you guys, and it helps other people find the video because, you know, YouTube algorithms, stuff like that. Also, don't forget the subscribe button and the notification bell so you get notifications for any new videos and live streams, and I'll talk to you guys in a later video. Have a good day, guys. Thanks.